Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, I'm sorry that I can't be there, alright? So this is the lesson on worksheet 3.3-2 in your packet. Okay, we're going to go through this. Your homework is to finish the assigned problems on 3-1, okay? Today we're going to talk about multiplying and dividing polynomials, okay? So if you take a look at the do now, okay, you are going to, these two, hopefully you recognize this is distribution, okay? And this guy, we're just going to multiply these two, okay? So if you take a look here, right, you are going to distribute the -2, so it should be negative 18a plus 2b, okay? So you're multiplying everything by that value, okay, of -2. All right. Then, if you take a look at these two, you can multiply, just like we did here, things that are not like terms, okay? So only when we add and subtract are we concerned about like terms. So here, these two can be multiplied. When you multiply, you're going to multiply the coefficients, and you're going to add the exponents of the same variable, okay? So if I take a look here, 3 times -2 is -6. Then this is going to be r to the 2 plus 1, because there's a 1 there, and then t to the 1 plus 3. Now, you don't have to write that, but that's what you should be thinking, okay? So it's -6 r to the 3rd, t to the 4th, okay? And that's our final answer. Now, number 2, the second number 2, because apparently I don't know how to number. There should be 3. This one's a little bit tricky when you have something like this where it's subtract something from something. Whatever we're subtracting from has to come first, and then this guy becomes second, okay? So I'm going to list this first in standard form, and then I'm going to subtract the second, right, one. So subtract this from that. So I'm going to start with the second polynomial, then subtract this guy who's going to come second, and then you have to distribute the negative. Minus 4x squared minus 2x plus 4, okay? And then when you combine like terms, you'll have a negative 5x squared plus x, because you have 3x and a negative 2x, and then the 4's actually cancel, and so you just end up with a binomial, okay? And then last but not least, simplify these two. So I should have said something where I indicated that I wanted you to add these two, so if this was on a quiz, I'd have to be more clear, but you're going to add these two. So 3x squared minus 5 plus 4x squared minus 9x minus 3. So we're going to add that binomial and that trinomial. So if you take a look at these two, you don't have to distribute anything because there's no negative. So you're just combining like terms. So we have 7x squared. Then there's no other x's, so minus 9x. And then I have a negative 5 and a negative 3, so that's a negative 8. And there's my trinomial, okay? So now what we're going to do is we're going to multiply a monomial by a polynomial with more than, well, in this case, 4 terms, okay? So you're just going to set it up. Product means multiplication. So 2x cubed, x cubed plus 3x squared minus 2x plus 5, okay? So you're going to set it up like that. And then it's basically the same thing as number 1, except it's just a little bit longer, okay? And it's kind of like number 2 because we're going to multiply our coefficients. And we're going to add the exponents, okay? So here, this is just a 1 in front of here that you don't see. So it's 2x to the 6th. I'm going to add that, right? plus 2 times 3 is 6, x to the 5th, minus 4x to the, there's a 1 here, remember, so it's to the 4th, plus 5x cubed. And that's your polynomial. Okay, answer. Notice the original was in standard form if you look at your exponents. So the resulting, right, product, when we multiply, will be in standard form, okay? Then this guy is find the product, right? Same idea as above of these two. So we're multiplying a monomial by a binomial. So usually what I do is I just put the monomial in front. It's just easier. Doesn't matter what order you multiply things in. And then we distribute. So it should be negative 8x to the 6th, okay, minus, sorry, plus, because it's a negative times a negative, 20x to the 4th, okay? Now, you guys can pause this video if you'd like and try these and then check your answer. I'm going to head into these right now, okay? So for this guy, number 3, we're going to, example number 3, we're going to distribute the x. So you should get that. And then here, I just put the negative 2a to the second power in the back. It's easiest to distribute a monomial, so I'm just going to reverse the order, which is okay. And then I'm going to distribute. So this should be 6a to the 6th plus 10a squared minus 16a to the 3rd. And then you could have, if you noticed that this was not in standard form originally, you could have rearranged it. I'm just going to do it at the end now. So it should be 6a to the 6th minus 16a cubed plus 10a squared. Okay? So we're distributing, basically, okay? Now, take a look at this guy. This is where we're going to multiply a binomial times a polynomial, okay? Now, it could be either a binomial times a binomial, which you see here and here, or we could do a binomial times a trinomial, okay? So here, if you have a binomial times a binomial, this is where we do FOIL, if you guys remember, okay? So FOIL is where you're going to multiply the first, the inner, first, the outer, the inner, and the last terms, okay? So the two first terms in my binomials are x and x. So x times x is x squared, right? Then x times negative 9, take the sign with it, is negative 9x, right? Then we're going to distribute the second term here. So we're going to do our inner two terms. So that's 9 times x, which is 9x. And then last but not least, our two last terms, 9, positive 9 times negative 9 is negative 81. So there are 4 letters in FOIL, so you should get 4 letters here, okay? So now I have x squared. I'm just going to pull all my terms here. So x squared negative 9x plus 9x, and then minus 81. And then once I do that, right, then I'm going to combine like terms. So this, if I have a negative 9x and a positive 9x, those cancel and I just get x squared minus 81. Okay, which is a binomial, all right? I can also, right, give you a question like B, okay? So if you look, this is a binomial squared, all right? What that means is you are multiplying a binomial by itself. When you square something, you multiply it by itself, right? So here, we are going to do 7x minus 3 times 7x minus 3. You cannot square, like distribute the square. It's not, this is not multiplication by 2, all right? Or by squaring. You have to write it out twice, and then we have to do FOIL. So FOIL is 7x times 7x, the two first terms, which should be 49x squared, okay? Then 7x times 3, negative 3 I should say, which is negative 21x. Then I'm going to do the two inners, right? So that's going to be negative 3 times 7x. So that should give me negative 21x. And then last but not least, negative 3 times negative 3 is positive 9, okay? So then if I, remember 4 terms, right? You should always get 4 terms originally. So then I'll have 49x squared minus 21x plus 9. And then you're always going to combine like terms. So if I have negative 21 and negative 21, so now this is just addition and subtraction. You've finished multiplying. So then that's minus 42x plus 9, and then we are done because none of those are like terms. Okay? Now, the ones with the stars I'm not going to do. They get a little bit crazy. Don't worry about those. I would not ask you that, okay? Now, this one would be a challenge, okay, that I would give you. But this is where you have to multiply these two, not 2 terms, right, but 3 terms. So this means I'm multiplying 3x times each of these, okay? So if this is tricky for you, don't worry about it. I'm more concerned with you knowing how to FOIL. I'm going to do it, but I just want you to take a look at it, all right? So this is 3x times 5x squared, okay? So I'm going to do 3x times 5x squared would give me my first set. So I'm going to get 3 terms here, right? So 3x times 5x squared is 15x to the third, right? That's this guy. Then I'm going to distribute to this one, right? So I'm going to get a positive 3x squared. And then I'm going to distribute to the negative 6. So that's going to give me negative 18x, okay? That's what I get when I distribute the 3x. Now I have to do that again, except I'm distributing the 4, okay? So I'm going to get another 3 terms, okay? So 4 times 5x is 20x squared. Then 4 times x is 4x. And then 4 times negative 6 is negative 24. So I should have another 3 terms for a total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, okay? And now that looks very complicated, so I'm going to combine like terms, just like I do here. So first you FOIL, right, or multiply, then you combine like terms, same idea here. We multiplied, okay, and then we're combining like terms. So I have 23x squared. My x's, I should have minus 14x and then minus 24. And that is my polynomial, okay? Again, I'm not going to do b because that has multiple multiplications, if that makes any sense, okay? So, take a look here. I'm going to focus on these 3. Do not worry about that one, all right? So, if you want, pause the video, try these, and then check your answers. But I'm going to move on to them, okay? So this guy, I'm going to put a star next to 2 stars for challenge problems. This guy is 5x, right? Distribute that, so it should be 30x cubed. And then minus 10x squared. And that's all you could do, right? That's in standard form, the higher exponent and then the smaller. And you can't combine like terms, so you're fine. This guy, binomial times a binomial means I'm going to use FOIL. So this is x times x, which is x squared. Then it's x times 5, which is 5x. Negative 5 times x, which is negative 5x. And then negative 5 times 5, which is negative 25, okay? Then we take all four terms, right, for the four letters, and put them together in one expression. And then these two get combined, those are like terms, and they end up canceling, so I get x squared minus 25. Okay, there's my binomial answer. All right. Then this guy, when I square a binomial, that really means x plus 2 times x plus 2, right? So binomial times binomial. Every time you see a binomial and a binomial, you always FOIL. Right? These are being multiplied. There's no sign between them, so you're going to FOIL. That's just another way to remember the multiplication. That's all it is. So x times x is x squared. Then x times 2 is 2x. Then 2 times x is 2x. And then 2 times 2 is 4. Okay? Then we take our four terms, write it as one expression. Okay, if you don't see a sign, then they're all positive. Okay, so we're just going to add them all. And then here, these two don't cancel like they did in the previous example because they're both positive, right? So I'm just going to add these two. So I'm going to get x squared plus 4x plus 4. Okay. And that was a little hard to say. Okay, so again, if you want to try this guy, you can. All right, I am not going to ask you to do that, all right, on the homework nor on the quiz, all right? Okay, last but not least, division, okay? So we did multiplication. On the previous days, we did addition and subtraction, so now we're doing division. Here's the biggest thing you have to remember. You just have to divide on the homework. They're going to set it up like this. You are going to take every term in that trinomial and divide it by 2x. So they're going to set it up like this. So that whole thing is being divided by 2x. So what I want you to think about is this. You're going to take a 2x out of every term, right? Remember, terms are separated by addition or subtraction. So I just divided each of them by 2x. And then when you're dividing, you're going to divide, whoops, that's not right. Divide the coefficients. And then because it's the opposite operation, for multiplication, we added the exponents. Now we're going to subtract the exponents. So I'm going to do a couple of these because they're kind of redundant, okay? So here, remember, if I don't see a power, an exponent, it's 1. So I'm going to write in all my 1s here. You don't have to, but you can. That's what you should be thinking. And then we're going to divide. 2 divided by 2 is 1. And then x cubed divided by x squared, I subtract my exponents. So this is going to be 3 minus 1, right? So that's going to become, I don't need to show the 1. I'm going to have x squared as my first term. Then 2 divided by 2 is 1 again. Then x to the 2 minus 1. So the second term, again, I don't have to show the 1, should be x to the first, or just x. I don't have to show the first power. You can if you want. And then plus 2 divided by 2 is 1. X to the 1 minus 1 is 0, right? So those cancel each other, right? And they become 1 because you're dividing them by each other. So whenever you have dividing a term by itself, that equals 1, okay? So anytime you're dividing something by itself, that always becomes 1. It does not cancel completely, okay? That's super, super important, okay? So let's look at number 3, okay? 2x to the 4th plus 2x cubed plus 2x squared. You're going to divide every one of them by x, take out an x. So remember, that's to the first. So the coefficients are not going to change. and then this becomes x to the 4 minus 1, which is 3. 2, right, because we're just dividing by 1, so it doesn't change. And then x to the 3 minus 1, which is squared, plus, and then here 2, x to the 2 minus 1, or just x, all right? And then I'm going to just jump to 6, just because. So this one, notice they have it in standard form already, right? That's what you will usually see. I'm going to take a 2n out of each of these. So then I get 4 divided by 2 is 2. Then it's n to the 4 minus 1. So that should be 3. 2 divided by 2 is 1. You don't have to write the 1. Oh, I changed this to an x randomly. And then 3 minus 1 is 2. And then 4 divided by 2 is 2. And to the 2 minus 1, which is the first, okay? So that is division, okay? The biggest thing to remember is you are dividing the coefficients, right? And subtracting the exponents, all right? So you guys try the homework. I will post an answer key to that, right? We'll go over that on Monday, okay? Have a great weekend, guys. Bye.